Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. As I say, strange news show this week because I haven't got much to put in it, if I'm totally honest. I've been really cracking on with these two. You might be able to see them there. Funny story. Now, okay, for the members who, obviously following this build, you'll know the nightmare I've been having with this particular build, with this corset. For non-members, a quick run through. This actually here is a commission that we do the Snap charity. There's details on it about the site. But anyway, I'm involved with a little charity down in the southwest of England called Snap. And basically it's a support group for children and parents with disabilities and things like that. So anyway, we did a bit of a fundraiser last year, and one of my ones that I do, and I do it every year, is that we turn around and say, right, okay, I'll do a commissioned work, anything you like. So anyway, Ross won the actual auction for £1,000 bid, and we came up with, he wanted a corset. So okay, cutting a long story short, this has got every bit of resin and aftermarket part you can think of in this, including we've lit up the cockpit with an LED that's in the front and lights up the cockpit and lights up the nav lights and everything else. So it's a full-on piece, but as you might have seen on previous news shows and certainly following the build, it's been a nightmare from start to finish because none of the resin is fitted in this kit. We've had problems with some of the aftermarket drop-in parts which don't work and things like that. And then to cap it all, the paintwork, I've had an absolute nightmare and it just hasn't worked at all. So anyway, we thought we were on top of it. Last week's show you might have seen a bit about chipping and things like that. Anyway, it went wrong completely, had to be stripped back, went wrong again, had to be stripped back, and I stripped it back with IPA as you'd have seen in last week's news show. Anyway, thought I got there, and then the salt had reacted with the paint and gone completely white. The actual aircraft at the time turned white, so I had to strip it off all over again. So I went back to using an old technique that I use, which is basically using mask oil over a silver primer and then peeling it away and doing all things like that. So it's come out very, very well and everything else like that. So we're really to the homeward stretch, apart from just to be a real kick in the pants at the end of it. The decals all decided to disintegrate as soon as I touched water. So anyway, I've managed to get them together like a giant jigsaw piece. This week's news show, you'll see this, which will get you to this standard, and then this afternoon I'm going to be working on it, really bringing it together. But to be honest, she is just about getting there now. I'm quite happy with the way that it's coming together. You might be able to see it on the camera, as I say, it'll be loads on the side. So anyway, what I've done is, because I'm a bit light, to be honest, on stuff for the news show, that I'm actually going to put in there a little bit about how I did the chipping this way. So last week you would have seen the one about, obviously the chip in, using salt technique and things like that. This week I'm going to show you about doing it with mask oil, all on the same kit. But as I said, one of those lessons in sort of, perseverance with a kit and following it through to the end, as I said, because if you encounter probably primers, post-shading, pre-shading, everything, that must be near on for 30 coats of paint that's had in its life now. And it just shows the quality of the plastic of the kit, that actually I can strip that back now completely 4 times to plastic and the panel lines are all still there. So that's a bit of amazement. The other thing as well is the almighty tomb is coming along quite nicely now. She's really coming together and we've got it all post-shaded, and she is literally now just waiting to go, this one to move out of the way and get it out of the way, and I can get this one deckled. This one's actually a lot closer to finishing than she probably looks. As soon as she's been deckled, we've got a little bit more post shading to go on there, and then she's really ready to go together because all the parts are individually done. With this one, I said we did the engine and everything else like that. So there is parts for that one to go up. I need to add a little bit more to it, which I'll cover that with a decaling for this one, which I do over the weekend. So that part 9 for that one, or 10 is it now? I don't know, we're really moving on now. Will be up on next week. And she might even be finished by then. I'm not going to say it will be because you never can tell with these things. A couple of things I've got to mention. First of all, the Dioramas Plus group build, I've had a bit of a thought about it, and because we only actually had 18 completed entries at the end of it, what I've decided to do is up the prize level to you all. So I have got a nice little surprise that's going to go out to everybody who completed. Normally we don't do prizes, we just do the medals. The medals are on order, and actually I've got to pick them up tomorrow on Saturday. But I've got something else coming as well, which will be up for next week. So there is a reason why you haven't been given your medals and your prizes yet. It's just that normally we spend just over about £500 we allocate for each group build, and then that obviously covers the shipping costs for all the medals going out to everybody, and then obviously the cost of the medals and the prizes and things like that. So this one, because we came up short, there wasn't, really 20 people at the end of the day finished it, that I thought it's well worth everybody getting a prize, especially because everyone took a lot of time and effort doing that, a lot more than most sort of builds that we do. And obviously a lot of you, it was something completely new, and I thought, well, look, we either roll money onto something else, or we can really make a thing of it. So I have got something very special which will only be available to everybody who did complete that one, but certainly I think it would be well worth you're seeing that. And as I say, it's something I've never done before, but as I say, a bit of a secret, so no emails. I know I'm going to get flooded with PMs now and everybody else saying, oh, what is it, where, and everything. Well, you'll have to wait till next week's news show, because the plan is next week's news show, I will then post them out on that Friday. So the UK lot, obviously you'll probably get them Saturday, if not Monday. Worldwide members, obviously you'll get them over the next few weeks and things like that. The other thing that's going on, I did mention it briefly, but I'm going to mention it again because it's so generous, but Kevin, who is the organiser for the egg group build, special interest group build, has donated £150 worth of prizes, so massive thank you to him. So I better enter, I suppose. So me and our Melanie will be actually working on ours on Sunday. So she's never built a kit before, which Melanie's my partner, by the way. If you don't know, she's helps out on the site. She does a lot of the work for the paperwork behind the scenes and everything else, so I'm going to get her on camera. She doesn't know yet, she's not here today, so but she will do. So on Sunday I'm going to get a bit of filming of that done, and we can all have a bit of a laugh about that next week. So there you go. Let's say a little bit short this week. We've got a few things going on. I know some of you guys know about, we had high hopes for some big project coming off. It looks like it's not going to work quite as fast as we thought, so I've been tied up with a lot of things happening around for that, but it has enabled me to get on with quite a bit of building, as you can see in the background. A lot of people have asked about doing armour and tanks and things like that. Funnily enough, I will be doing them, and I have got a tank order coming in next week. Now, I'm not up on armour at all. I must admit, I do like Abrams and Challengers and things like that, but when you're talking old, I know the difference between a Tiger and a Sherman, and that's about as far as it goes. So anyway, so I've got some armour coming in, so if you want to see an armour build and how I would tackle it, and that's what I'm going to do, because some of you know I tend to be right, this is how I do it. So I take a lot of my aircraft modelling skills and I sort of roll them over to doing armour, certainly for the weathering and things like that. And certainly with the Corsair, it's going to be using a lot of pigments on that, as well with the Phantom, and normally I don't use pigments on aircraft, so obviously I can carry over those certain things. Certainly with the chipping that we learned over the last few weeks and things like that, we can take them on. Also, I want to apologise for not being in the forum as much this week. There's absolutely loads of builds going on there. Trust me, I do see them, but I just don't have time to comment on them all. I usually skim through them all, have a good read out and all the rest of it, but I don't actually post on them all. But I am around and I am having a look, and hopefully over the weekend I will have a lot more time to settle down and have a look at those things. Couple of things. Our Liam, who works here as well, is taking his driving test tomorrow, so good luck to Liam, hope you pass. That way I can go out and you can drive everywhere. So that'll be handy for that. So he's taking his driving test, so good luck to him and everything else like that. Next week will be a full news show with all the bits and pieces, and as I say, with the surprise thing that's coming up for the people who did those. So until next week, everybody, happy modelling and take care. Okay, so this way, what we're going to do is some chipping with mask oil. So this is just Humbrol mask oil. There's loads of different ones on the market. They all roughly do the same. Basically, it's liquid latex. What we got here is a little bit of sponge. So we just grab a bit, and all we're going to do is type of a dabbing effect. Okay, as you would like a stipple for where you want anything to be sort of chippings. So obviously pick out panel lines. Just run it down panel lines. Perhaps we've got these bomb racks underneath, have quite a bit. What we do is I put a little bit in a cup and you can just tap it down. Now you don't want to flood this, because otherwise you have all types of problems with it being flooded. But if you just put on a little bit, you can go around and make some nice little scrapes and bumps and bits out of it. So obviously if you put quite a bit on like that, you're going to get quite a bit come out of it. So we're just going to do quite a bit down here around these gun access panels, and then obviously where we've got crosses in little things. And what it'll do, it'll dry nice and clear. A bit down there, bits on these wing roots tend to pick up, Okay, it'll dry clear, and then obviously we can spray over it, but make sure it's totally dry before you come in. Now the great thing about this is that obviously it won't affect your paintwork, perhaps like we've shown in the other ones with various things. And this one's a lot easier to cover up if it goes slightly wayward, shall we say, a little bit over the top. So there we go, just like that. So we'll just make a couple of other little marks around here. Just like that. So what we'll do, we'll give that half hour or so to dry off. Okay, I've already done the top half, which is drying already, so you can see it on there like that, and then we should be able to come along, spray it over, same thing, and then immediately peel these back off, or just give them a little rub with your finger and they should peel off. Okay, so we're back in with the blue mix. Okay, so we're using the extra acrylics. This is the 15042 or glossy blue. 50-50 mix with Tamiya X28. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just pass a light dusty coat to start with. Okay, and as it begins to get a layer on, we'll start to build it up. Now obviously we haven't masked up too much around here, because we'll spray in afterwards all these colours. So once we get going, we can start to build up the colour. And I'm spraying this quite a high air pressure because we want a little bit of texture for the weathering that will come shortly. So we'll just carry on to spray this right the way over. Got to do a little bit of clean up work around this canopy, but what I want to do is really get it on the wings for the minute. So we just do the same on this other wing. What we've actually gone this time, because we've used the mask oil, you get this type of effect, where it's not as grainy and gritty as the other, but it's a lot easier to work with. So if we just try and angle this so you can see this nicely. If we bring this one just down here, let me just bring the camera down, hopefully you can see. Right, so what you've got actually the actual parts in there. What you want to do is just lightly start with, just expose the top, just gently scrape over the top, okay, and that gives you enough to get your grip. Then all you do is literally rub your finger across, and you guys can't see that, there we go, rub your finger across it, okay, and just rub off all of the mask oil, just like so. Okay, so if I do another patch we've got down here, if I spin this, I'm trying to do this without handling it too much. Okay, so we're going to go for this one in here. What we're going to do is just lightly scrape just the top parts, okay, just where the mask oil is, just like so, okay, and then wet your finger, rub it on a cloth. You should be able to then get in there and rub it off to reveal your chipping. So if we just do a little bit along the front here, we've got going just down here, and when you rub it away, you should, he says, come up with a situation something like this. So we do just pick a few more bits at random. Just come along and scrape them out, giving you a more lightly chipped effect. But you need to sort of start it off, so I find just pushing down with a blade, back of the blade of your knife, just like so, will help it out. So then when you do come in, it gives it something to bite to. Okay, and you can come up with your little chip in, just like that. So it's a more heavy chipped effect, but you've got a lot more control over it. Okay, so that's just another way of literally doing it. So if we just pull some of these off around here, as you can see, it works very, very well. It just takes a little bit just to start it, to get it going, and then as soon as you have, you'll find it chips very nicely. But you find if you wet your finger, rub it on your jeans to make it polished, you should go along and pick up anything that needs to peel off, will peel off, just like that. So we've got the fronts of the around the guns there, just like that. Obviously I'm not going to touch the top yet, but I'll go through it again. But that gives you our idea of the actual chipping that we're going after and what we're trying to achieve with it. Okay, so it's a lot lighter, not as much as intense as the last ones, but it's still an overall good effect.